What's up, Addicts? I'm Michael.
And I'm Josh.
And today, we're reviewing The Realm.
Issues 6 through 9.
Yeah, we're too lazy to wait a month for issue 10 to come out, so...
Yeah, well, and also, we got such a full schedule of videos coming out that we can't really afford to have, 4 other videos out taking up a day. So, that's why we're doing it like this. Which, I guess just jumping right into it, we'll go over a little bit of what, recap of what happened in each issue, and then we'll go into favorite modes / just what were our impressions. Okay, so issue 6 starts off. It's really weird. There's some time that elapses after the events of the first volume, several days, and it actually skips some just what's going on. So we have Rook, Ben, and Ray that all separated from the main group, and they're actually chasing after the Red Jaw Orcs that attacked Everett's camp. Which we get to see a good confrontation between them and some other people out on the road.
Get to know more about them in general.
Yeah, and
at least the one guy.
Yeah, and with that, towards the end of the issue, Ray gets a little injured by a new creature that we see, and Ben kind of somewhat befriends it, I guess you could say. And then jumping into issue 7, we get to start off with seeing Eldridge meet up with some of his soldiers. With Diaz being one of them. Well, of course, he doesn't really matter for too long because Nira pops in, who we get to see a sneak peek of her at the end of the first volume. She's the Blood Lady.
Yeah.
Higher time of the month lady. So
she's higher up in the bad guys.
Yeah. Yeah, and so she basically stops by to show Eldridge who's boss, and kills Diaz and kind of puts him in his place, saying that he's not as powerful as he thinks he is. With that, kind of bouncing back, we get to see a little bit of Will's group again, and it explains why Rook and her group split off, and we actually get to see Will get taken by
spider goblins.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Description of them. And we get to see the rest of the group kind of chase after him to try to find him. And in that process, they figure out where he's been taken, which is like a temple-like structure.
A dungeon, per se.
Yeah. Which, it's full of traps and mysterious things, which, we get to see as they dive deeper into this structure. Meanwhile, with that, we get to see Nira explain to Eldridge that the foes that they have, there's somebody that is seemingly against them that's carrying a artifact that has the potential to ruin their plans because it's an essential part of opening the gateway, which we gather that's what started this whole thing. Yeah, it's final space, basically. Which that kind of leads into issue 9, where you see Molly and her group kind of formulate a plan to get, to deal with the creatures, and it's kind of left on a cliffhanger to where we don't really know if they. Well, I guess we do know that they learn about Will's condition, but we don't really know exactly what happened with him at the end of his circumstance. But then we get to see Eldridge hires a group of people to hunt down the people with the artifact, which is Will and all of his company. And I guess their leader is McInnes. I think that's what it is. So, and, you get to see Will's power unleashed on the very last poem that is really badass, but really frustrating because it's
we don't get to see it.
We don't get to see it. So, I guess that's enough with the recap. Michael, what did you think of these next few issues?
So I liked the character development that was kind of presented throughout the issue. Personally, I liked, I don't know the name of the guy, but scientist guy who's got lightning powers.
Oh, yeah.
You got to see him. It's interesting because I don't know if his powers are independent of the artifact or if they're because he has the artifact with him, he's using some of the powers. We haven't really got into that yet.
It could be. Every time he's used them, he's had the artifact in his possession.
Yeah, so we don't really know specifically because the bad guys say that the humans don't know how to use the artifact properly or whatever. So, but yeah, it was really interesting to see him use his powers, and it was cool. There's a barrier where he had almost if you've watched Overlord, some of the magic effects were similar there. and anime and stuff like that, and manga and stuff. But I like that. I liked spider goblin creatures. They're pretty cool.
Their mediator's pretty great.
I did like how they sent the kid to do the job, and then they're like, he dies.
He dies and then he comes back.
And he'll probably come back a couple more times.
Which we accidentally switched up their names, and I'm not going to say it here because I'm not so confident that I won't do that again. But just to clarify, we got those a little mixed up in the last one. But we're going to try to do better about that. I'm still learning their names because this is still a pretty fresh series. For me, I think it was cool seeing kind of like Will get some backstory of like the thing that's I guess ailing him, and we get a little bit of confirmation. It kind of reminded me a lot of, if you guys have read or seen Devilman, it kind of sounds like it's more of like along that lines, because when the spider creatures are talking to him, they're like, oh, this power, it reminds me of something, are you so-and-so? And he's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And so it feels like kind of that kind of thing going on for us, so I don't know where they're going to take that, but I'm curious to see where that goes. But
hopefully not the entire destruction of every on Earth. That's not a great ending.
Yeah, that's not what we want. But the other thing that's really cool is just seeing like more action, because we got to see. I love how they deal with the people they meet on the bridge, which is pretty great in issue 6. The pacing is something that I'm like mixed feelings about, because it's moving at a good pace, which I like because they're constantly progressing forward, but we're skipping a lot of things, but not necessarily getting to the things we want to see just yet.
Yeah, so, I kind of agree with that, because I like the issues where we got to see like the whole the process of like Eldritch and like his background and like their command structure, but at the same time I wanted to see what was happening to the other characters, what was happening to Rook. It's gonna be challenging, because I read those 4 issues kind of back to back. So I feel like if I had to wait a month between issues, I feel like, if it's not the main characters that I care about, it's going to be, I wouldn't say problematic, but not as enjoyable of a series.
Yeah, I think the first volume had a really good flow, even with all of them together, because it didn't feel like, you were reading something that was released issue by, or month by month, because it flowed really good. This one so far, if you read them all together, at least that's how we did it, because they were already out, but it felt a little off at times, like especially at the beginning of issue 6. It's right after the events of the volume, and you're like, how did they get here? Yeah, where are the rest of the people?
What are they doing?
Yeah. I mean, they go back and explain that a little bit, but so it's like one of those things where I'm liking what I'm seeing for the most part. It's just there's a little things where they're structuring it that I'm hoping gets a little bit better.
I am liking where the story's going, though.
Yeah, the world sounds really interesting. Speaking of the world, we got a little bit more backstory of exactly how the world fell in a sense and what caused it. Still very vague, but we get a little bit more inkling of that.
It's rocks that defy the laws of physics and are EMPs.
Yes.
That's what led to these creatures. We don't really know exactly, but anyway, we know that happened. So a lot of why we don't see that many like new cars or like airplanes.
Yeah, or like computers or electricity, which it's really interesting because they feel like they're leaving it open for they can have those things reappear again, because a lot of the characters when they're talking, they're like, well, we don't really know if that's everywhere, if it's just in our area that we've traveled. So that's kind of curious to see, but like both of us, I think agree that we're excited to see more. It's been pretty interesting, and I can't wait to see them dive in a little bit more of like the artifact and then like Will's power, and kind of seeing what their main goal is going to be after both of those things kind of come to light.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I really want him to have a demon motorcycle.
That would make it really cool. And I hope
it's
it can
feasible.
Happen. It's feasible.
Yeah.
We need a Ghost Rider in this.
Exactly.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, I really enjoyed reading the issues. I think the separate stories were kind of refreshing to see different characters, and I hope issue 10 kind of puts it more together, and we can see at least finish some of the like tiny arcs that we've seen in these last couple issues. So
yeah, and I think that's something that I'm still looking forward to, because we're in the long road. We're in it for the long road. So we're gonna.
We'll be back next month.
Yeah, we'll be back. Well, depending on when this uploads, we'll see when.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, probably tomorrow. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. But anyway, guys, I guess that'll conclude this review. If you want to check out some of our other comic stuff, please have a look in our library. We got more stuff coming out, as well as other show and game
comics
stuff. Yeah, which by this time we'll probably have 2 playthroughs already done. So go check those out if you're interested. And as always, we've been telling you this over and over again, but there's a podcast and there's social media if you want to check those out. They're down there. It's wet. Peace. But anyway, guys, later.
Later.